What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the Friday Weekly Market Watch. We are in October. This is the 18th. We've made it to Friday. Congratulations, my Goons. I'm joined with Zach Stone, who is a professional at selling cards. He makes a living doing this. He has his own section at Frank and Sons at a booth in Southern California. If you guys know where that is, Zach, how are you doing this weekend?
This is honestly a very exciting weekend. It's the last weekend we get to kind of, look at everything before going off to Seattle. And a lot of these cards that we're going to talk about have kind of like fluctuated in price, and due to some more recent deck lists appearing, I'm kind of excited to go over them. But first and foremost, don't buy the pre-orders, guys. We're looking at the Judy Hobbs Resourceful Rabbit from the Azurite Sea Set 6. Now, this is a character that costs 6 and has stats of 3/6 with 2 lore, has support, and also at the end of your turn, you may ready another chosen character of yours. Kevin, this ability has some interesting. I'm already thinking of cool things to start trying this out with, like the Wreck-It Ralph and potentially other characters that can trigger their abilities when they're ready. What do you think?
I think that it has way too low stats for it to be a six-drop character, personally. I would have liked this to be like a 4-3 maybe, or a 4-4 even with the same ability. But 3/6 is cool, but there's so much Ruby in the format, and we all know the obligatory say the line bar dies to Medusa target. You know what I mean? And with Ice Block Sisu deck running around, Ice Block into something like Brawl potentially even. So I think it has its pluses and its minuses. So, but the point is that I don't think you should get the pre-orders. And I've actually had somebody tell me in person, like, oh yeah, I didn't watch your market watch videos until after I got into Lorcana. So when they were first getting into it, they thought it was like Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, and they were pre-ordering some of the legendaries, some of the rares at like really high prices. So friendly reminder that these prices never stay this high, especially not for cards unless they're meta relevant. We have another one, Pooh Pirate Ship. This is a one ink uninkable item that says exert this card, pay 3 ink, return a pirate character card from your discard to your hand. So not too bad. It's like a Hades from Underworld. It gives you the potential to grab a character from your discard to your hand. It's an uninkable item. It's one cost though, so you can set it up on turn 1 and then potentially use it by turn 3. Maybe on turn 2 you play something like a Smee or a Captain Hook if you're playing an Amber Steel deck or something. Over time, though, it can generate a lot of value depending on how you're using your pirates. Maybe you have a yellow-red strategy where you can use Jolly Roger, but it's looking like pirates is going to be a big part of the Azurite Sea theme. I wonder if we're going to be entering a pirate meta, Zach.
I would love that. The Jim Hawkins that was revealed in the lore cast, I think is a really like I expect that card to do a lot. And I do see pirate decks becoming definitely like relevant and meta worthy. The locations that pirates have like access to that actually give it a little bit more of ability, like the Jolly Roger, for example, or just having like the option of just overstated pirates with the new Mr. Smee coming out. I am looking forward to like the pirate wave, as I'd like to say. But this is an item that I'm not so sure if it does get played. And even just how we talked about the last card, guys, do not buy these pre-orders and pay these prices for them. They
Yeah.
just do not stay this high. Prince John's Mirror was a great example of the last set. Prince John's Mirror was pre-selling for $3 to $4, even up into the week of the release, and that card's not even $1. So
Yeah,
just
that's like a 50
really
cent
think
rare.
about your decisions.
Yeah,
Really think about your decisions here.
there's way more than enough cards to go around. It's really cold foils, I think, if anything, that you want to look out for on the first week when the set drops, and stuff like that. But like for the most part, most of these are gonna be like 50 cents cards, and by like 2 weeks into the release of Azurite Sea, actually. Give me one sec, Zach. Sorry. Real quick, I love this flavor text. The friendliest ship on the Azurite Sea. Very, very wholesome, very wholesome. This card right here that was announced yesterday got a lot of buzz. This is a prepare your bot Sapphire action card, one cost inkable that says choose one. ready chosen item, ready chosen robot character. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. So I'm not sure what the capabilities of future robot characters are going to be in this set. So robots and pirates is what we're looking at, and inventors, right? That's kind of what the theme feels like for this set. But this card itself is already causing buzz because the first play that people are thinking about is you can use Lucky Dime twice, and then in decks like Tamatoa, the based Sapphire decks where you have a bunch of ink, you can play Tamatoa. You have your dime set up already. You tap dime for two. You play this, prepare your bot, and then you exert dime again for two more. It's only 5 extra ink on the Tamatoa play if you have the dime set up already. That's about 13 ink. That's not asking for a lot, I think, in like a red blue deck. So if you thought Tamatoa dime was toxic before, I think it might get just a little bit more powerful next set. What do you think, Zach?
Oh, this card is going to really define, I think, how like certain Ruby Sapphire or other Sapphire strategies decide to like play out. I am kind of nervous about this card, not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah.
Re-readying
It
items is kind of powerful.
it, it
No one plays the
enables
Aubrey Ramirez.
Sorry, it enables a lot of potentially wacky play, especially with future items. A lot of the items that have good effects don't necessarily banish themselves. You just have to they just have to exert themselves. So yeah, this could be an interesting card. It could be problematic because only costing one is crazy in my opinion. But yeah, like you said, the Aubrey card is a little slow. Like, you have to play it and then wait a whole turn, right? But this you could just play it from your hand. So a lot of potential there. Lot of potential there. What do you think of this one? Heffalumps and Woozles, Azurite Sea. It's a two-cost song for Emerald that says, chosen opposing character can't quest during their next turn and draw a card. Yeah, Heffalumps and Woozles would be really cool to play in a deck, in my opinion, with Ursula, Deceiver of All, maybe some Uses, and maybe even that Steel card that plays. It's a Rapunzel Steel song that picks a character and they can't challenge your characters. You draw a card, right? But speaking of Rapunzel, look at these cold foils, very expensive this week. I want to get into some meta cards. Zach and I are meta competitive players, and we're going to be at the DLC in Seattle. So these are some cards you're probably going to see at your set champs tournaments or at the DLC Seattle in the meta decks. Rapunzel being played in multiple decks, whether you're using Amber Steel or maybe something like that Amber Emerald aggro deck that can heal your daisies with Rapunzel. Point is, lowest non-verified is by Pretty Cards, $74 with $1.29 shipping, and lowest verified for a Nearmint is all the way down here at $89.99 by the Wasteland Gaming. Before that, the next verified seller is going to be Mighty Meeple, but that's a light plate for $81. So the non-verified sellers have a couple for 75, but it's looking like there's not that many in the $80 range, and they jump up to $90 really quick. Zach, what do you think about that?
Well, it's definitely something to consider being a staple since set one, as well as collectability purposes. I also want to point out that the amount of listings on TCG Player for these cold foils is under 20. That means only 20 sellers have any amount listed in general.
Mm.
I'm not too sure how many sellers. I didn't take a closer look, but you are going to have to purchase multiple singles from different sellers to complete your play sets. That is something to really consider when you are looking for these cards out in the wild, because the values could theoretically range between 75 up to $90. And how many somebody has in one deal does incentivize, a higher price, in my opinion, because that's how much you are going to be having to spend when you acquire that many at a one time from TCG. This is just a very solid card too, and I've had my foil since set one, and I haven't let them go. So I kind of like where this card's at now. The prices are starting to kind of go back up to where they used to be. Might be the next $100 legendary. Speaking of legendaries that are going back up where they used to be, Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood, saw a little bit of a decline in play in some recent Amber Steel decks. Those that watched my video know that I played Robin Hood in the DLC Vegas in my deck list. This card just did a lot for me, and I still like it a lot into the format. However, it doesn't fit well in almost any other deck that isn't like a character theme deck or just isn't something that's more for fun, right? This is just a nice price in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, especially compared to like last format earlier in the month when they were more than $40. 35 isn't too bad. I would even still wait a little bit more because, like you said, there's not a lot of decks playing this, and personally, I think we're gonna hit an interesting spot in Lorcana after DLC Seattle and after that after the October, basically because we're not gonna have any set championships for a month, and we're not gonna have any DLCs that we know of until next year. And the only other premier event that's gonna be hosted is the Continentals in January. So from what it feels like, the months of November to January, mid January, we're not gonna have any tournaments. I mean, I'm assuming we're gonna have set champs for Azurite C, right? Which will probably be maybe December. But like I don't know, like set champs isn't as hyped as it used to be, and that is I think that's partially because of the fact that there's more cards available for the top cut or whatever, and a lot more stores are able to host set champs. So I definitely think that there's a lot more happening in the area, so that's why some of them look smaller. But point is, we're not gonna know if a card like Robin Hood Champion of Sherwood is going to be needed in the meta going forward anytime soon, especially after these next couple events. I think there's going to be just people taking a little bit of a break from Lorcana because maybe there's other games to play, other events to practice for on that competitive scene. So I get the feeling that it would even go lower. I would if I were to see them to like less than 30, then I'd be very excited. Basically, I would be very excited to pick them up at less than 30. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if they hit that low for the non-foils at least. Cold foils looking like they're going to stick around $40+, which is nice to see. The lowest verified for a near mint cold foil is actually not going to be till we hit 48.99. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting how these have just kept their value, right? And even the lowest non-verified for a near mint is going to be $40 with $5 shipping, right? There's a bunch of light plates, but yeah, for cold foils, there's not that many less than $50. There's only two that are less than 50. Actually, three. Heroes Quest has it for 49, but after that, you're hitting 49.99 territory, almost $50 already. And this is why Zach and I always say like cold foils are probably where it's at for a lot of these cards. So for like I want to say a month ago, the non-foil and the cold foil version of Robin Hood were both $40 almost. So why not pay just $2 more for the cold foil when now we're seeing the non-foil drop so much and the cold foil is still $40+. If anything, the cold foil has just been going up. Interesting. These Tragic Hero, very expensive still today. One of the best cards in like Emerald Steel. If you're playing the Emerald Steel deck, which has become one of the most popular decks, $42 and $2 shipping. So about $44 to $45 for your non-foil. Very, very popular there. If you're playing a competitive tournament this weekend, next weekend, in general, you're gonna see this card. Guaranteed, gonna see this card in the meta in your tournament experience. $69.99 is the lowest verified for a cold foil by Vendcorp, and it sticks around that $70 price, almost getting to 75 at the bottom of the page. So not too bad. They have been going up, like I said, and I think they're just gonna stay this high because Emerald Steel feels like the best deck, right, Zach?
It is the best deck going into the format. And if you
Mm.
guys aren't so sure that it is, well, watch our episode with Zan Sayed where we go over the Emerald Steel deck guide that he created and go more into his mind and thought process as a competitive player. But yeah, Beast Tragic Hero, just speaking from like experience playing against it, it's fine when they have one, but being able to like play and deploy threats like Diablo Devoted Herald into the morph, into this, into another beast potentially on the following two turns. It's hard to answer every single one of these threats. And it doesn't do enough by itself, but in multiples or in conjunction or in back-to-back turns, also stabilizing it with Pete, making sure cards like Be Prepared or in the mirror like Bruno and Strength can't be used to deal with this card. Just a solid character, has been around in and out of meta decks since its release, and
Yeah.
we are still waiting for our 2 or 1 drop beast.
I don't think we'll ever get them. I don't think we're ever gonna get the one or two drop beast. I think it's too good. Morph alone already feels like too much pressure. I can't imagine like if they were to ever make a one or a two drop beast, like they would have to make other cards in the game for other colors to really like power creep the situation because I think that's not necessarily a problem because I think the Lorcana format is beautiful. I like that. I like the current format. I think it's amazing. And like I think one of the things though that is very what is it impactful or like it just feels very like overwhelming is when they go Diablo Morph on you, and I can't imagine what card you would play over Morph. So it would have to be like a really good beast. You know what I mean to play that because if they go Diablo Morph on you, you have to choose. Am I gonna brawl the Diablo? Am I gonna shoot down the Morph with Storm? And it feels like a lose-lose situation sometimes because no matter which one you pick, they'll either shift the Beast or shift the Diablo next turn. So it's a very impactful card this format. The Lions are there. This card is the reason why I'm playing Teeth and Ambitions and Ruby Amethyst. So any fellow Ruby Amethyst players, some pro advice: top decking Teeth and Ambitions will turn off the Beast and potentially pop a Diablo every now and then, which is really nice. Some more Emerald cards that have been getting more and more love this week. We've just been seeing Ursa Deceiver of All go from a $13 legendary back up to a $20+ legendary. And this is one of the cards that I will very proudly say that when we were covering on the Market Watch in these last couple months, me and Zach were just talking about how disrespectful it was that people were not picking up this card, playing this card, putting it in their Emerald decks. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I definitely understand like why the meta like dictates the market, but there some stuff is just so obvious, bro. Like like there's no way that Emerald Steel was bad just because Bucky got eroded. Like that deck has been around since before Diablo came out. Emerald Steel was a top competitor deck for the DLC Atlanta format. You know what I mean? So there's no way it wasn't going to come back into the format. This card is insane. This card says sing cards twice, and the non-foils are now more than $20+. 21, 22 by Primal CC, the lowest verified for a near mint non-foil. And let's check out the cold foils because last time we saw them, the cold foils have been at 25 and they just hadn't really moved. The cold foils stick around $25. Okay, check this out. Yeah, that's still a really good price. Zimmy Gaming over here has it for $21 with 4 book shipping. That's 25 on the dot. Health Points TCG 25.47. Cardiac Gaming $26. Somebody actually bought one of these for me over the weekend at Ninja. So if you're in the Carlsbad area, stop by Ninja Exchange on Sundays. I get to vend there, Lorcana. And I sold it for 25, but I felt like there's no way this is gonna stick around at 25 for very long, especially now that the non-foils are at like $22 already. So this is exactly how that Robin Hood situation looked, by the way. And now Robin Hood is like $45. So I'm just throwing that out there. Maleficent Monsters Dragon, the lowest verified today is $24.99 by Quibbles TCG. They got 3 of them for you. Shout out you, making it very convenient to buy all from one seller so you don't have to pay multiple shipping fees from different sellers. Love to see that. Ooh, we got a Light Blade Dragon here for $71.50. That sounds like a deal to me. Sometimes Light Blade might not be that bad, and if it's ever like a condition where you're not entirely satisfied with, you can always send it back. That's something that TCG Player is really known for. They always side with the buyer. eBay bought TCG Player, and eBay especially always sides with the buyer. Cold foils for a near mint are still expensive for this card, more than $100. The lounge has you at $105, shipping included. They have 3 of them for you, so save some shipping fees there. And then they stick around 105, 110 at this entire first page. So $100+ for your cold foil Maleficent Monstrous Dragon if you're buying them online, but maybe you'll get them. Maybe you can find them for $100 in person, right, Zach?
Yeah, the card, I iconic, right? But the max rarity of it is the D23 original promos given out during not this year, but the previous D23 Expo. So that is just something to consider if you are trying
Yeah.
to go max rarity in any type of collecting aspect. However, this card, for being a cold foil that's about quadruple the price of a normal, that's a really good sign that this card has not only collectability, it has meta playability. There is a lot behind the artwork too, and I'm not too sure. Like, I haven't paid a lot of attention on like how many pieces or cards certain artists have done. So there's a world where I don't know if I'm right when I say this, but there could be a world where the artist doesn't have many pieces that he's worked on it yet on this game. And I actually just noticed how there's a few extra things that are added there, like it says illustrator, and then now it just has that little key logo. So that's a cool thing to notice. I am very, very scared of this card. I think that for the longest time it was kind of like ignored, not really like looked at or paid too much attention to. Popsicle being introduced really kind of changed the way people thought about this character. And now that we are seeing red blue dominate the way it is, there are certain lists out there that play very little ramp cards and focus on a lot more heavy items, because this card will gain a lore on its stat for each item you have in play. And Lucky Dime is still a card that I know as a Ruby M enjoyer, I know the clock is on when that card enters play. So this is one of the only cards that I think can gain that much lore outside of like John Silver, and that's the one from Inklands. There's not too many cards that do something like this. So um this is a very interesting price to look at because the cold foils, if I remember correctly, were from 15 up to 20 to 25, and we saw a spike I think maybe a week ago where had them listed for almost $40. And it settled down, and then you see people are willing to pay almost up to $35 for copies of these. So get them while you still can at this price. I'm not too sure if this will go up dramatically, but I can already see based on what I'm looking at that we'll see a little bit of a spike before anything comes down. And if you need to shine out your decks, if you need them for these events coming up, it might not get there in time. Just consider the amount of time it takes for cards to be shipped to your location. You might want to shop for a seller in your same state.
Yeah, there is something about the amount of support that Sapphire is getting next set that just kind of gives me an inkling of like this is going to be a card that is really popular come Azurite Sea. So with that being said, if I ever see them dip lower than this price, I'll be very excited to try and pick those up. There's just so much potential with the card like this that and Lucky Dime and that new action card that lets you do it twice, dude. Like it feels like an OTK deck, and I think it's very reasonable to assume that's going to be relevant still next format. Fishbone Quill. This card is still at $8-ish for the lowest verified refined gaming. They have three of them for you. Shout out you guys. Very convenient. Fillmore TCG was $6 with $2 shipping. They have two of them for you right there. Maybe give them their first couple sales if you like. But I really want to talk about the cold foils for this card. It's a first chapter cold foil. It's a rare from the first chapter. And look how much they've just been going up, Zach. They've been sticking around $20+, around 25 for a really long time. Pika Cards has the lowest non-verified for 24 with $1 shipping. Then Jade TCG has it for $26.69. Then it goes to Elysium for $29.99. Lorcana Card Guru $28.99. Stone Drinks for $32.70. But they have four of them, so very convenient. Shout out Stone Drinks right there. Point is, from $25 to $33, this card is like ranging in price this week today. And I think it's going to be more than $30 in a couple days. Look at the most recent comps. People have been buying them already for more than what it looks like, almost $30. Yep. Yesterday somebody bought one for $32.70, a 22, 22, 25, a 27.49. So I get the feeling this is going to be hitting $30 very soon. Yeah, first chapter cold foils, dude. They continue to just shoot up. This one, Be Prepared, Tamatoa. And again, we'll go to the boxes at the end, but yeah, first chapter just doing its thing, dude. There are some other cool rares going up in price this week, like Doc Bold Knight. These are the non-foils too. These are like $3 now today. Quibbles TCG has six of them for you, $2.30 with $1.27 shipping. Very convenient there. And then Nike's shop is the lowest non-verified for $2.99 with $1.27 shipping. So these are $3 each for the rare. Very good in your aggro-based steel decks. There's a Ruby Steel deck going around that I think is actually pretty good, where you use the Knights, Flynn Rider, Sisu, and the location Dwarves Mine, I believe. And yeah, it's a pretty nice card, and this card is your little draw engine. So it's a draw engine for a potential meta deck. So no wonder why it's like a $3 rare today. Merlin and Rabbits I wanted to talk about because these have been going down in price from $3 to a little bit closer to $2, which I think it's pretty good to pick up your meta staples. This does come in the starter decks, and we did see that Amazon had the Floodborne starter decks for really cheap recently, and they also come into Gateway, which I just found out. So there's always going to be rabbits to go around, but seeing them at around $2, $3, after shipping is pretty good. I get the feeling this is going to be a meta staple as well, if in the future, the way Fox is, and Fox is basically a $5 rare, so wouldn't be surprised if Rabbit gets there. Cold foil Muses are still almost $10 today. Tournament City has them for $8.20. That's two of them for you right there, and then the lowest after that, some more light blades already $8-9. Muses is a very interesting card this format. A lot of people still have I don't want to say trouble, but like they're still kind of like shocked when they see the potential of this card and the use of the bag and stuff like that. And I think it really is what makes Emerald Steel the deck that it is, because it just generates you so much tempo. No wonder it's almost a $10 cold foil today, dude.
For sure. I definitely liked some of the points that Zan told us about when we gave him his interview, and the mention that the tons of mentions he's given this card in countless other interviews he's done. And if you are like skeptical about the power of this card, just remember that it doesn't discriminate on which side of the board it returns from, and replaying your own characters like Ursula Deceiver or Ariel Spectacular Singer in the Lemon Lime decks is such a powerful tool to kind of utilize too. Ward is such an important keyword, and I do think people don't respect or give Ward the amount of respect I think it deserves. And its stats are pretty fair. It will be banished to the Sisu board wipe. But cards like the Cove allow you to kind of save it for 1 or 2 turns and delay the inevitable. But this is a very very strong card in that deck, and I'm a big fan. I like this card the moment it was released. I think you know that I wanted to work on a Lemon Lime Song deck since the beginning of Ursa's Returns drop, and although I will play it from time to time. I'm not considering something like that for the challenge. However, that doesn't mean that this card isn't powerful.
Card's definitely powerful. Definitely going to be used in the future as well. Let's go ahead and talk about a card that I think might have some hype in the future because of all the item support we're getting in Sapphire. Maurice's Workshop goes hand in hand with the item queen deck, and like I think that red blue item queen deck is actually really good. Like I don't think that should be like disrespected as a deck in the meta, and it potentially gets better with cards like Oswald, Hiro Hamada, et cetera, et cetera. So cold foils today, this month in general, in the last couple months, they have gone up from like $1 to as high as $5-ish, but they've calmed down in the last month or so. They were closer to $5, and today you can find them for way closer to 3, which is not bad in my opinion. Sarek TCG 250 with $1.27 shipping, Nerd Rage Gaming $3, Stone Drink Collects 350 with that extra shipping. So it's about like $2 to $3 more than it was in the beginning of the month. And I want to say the reason it was that expensive was when I think the Queen item deck won the DLC in Bologna. And you know, but in general, like it's calmed down a little bit, and I get the feeling that we're gonna see a lot of item activity post Azurite Sea, especially because we're getting all these new inventors and stuff, right? So if I see cold foils like this in people's binders, I definitely want to trade for them. Some Enchanted news now to end your weekend market watch off. Cinderella Ballroom Sensation has been going up in price, which is really cool because I've just been holding mine since I pulled it in the Rise of the Floodborn from 250 all the way to 324 today. Feel Good Gaming LLC is our lowest verified for 324.99, and then Metaverse LLC has it for 325, 327 by Card Crack, then Time Warp Gaming 348. So it takes about 3 sellers before it hits that 350 range, but most recent sale is right here. It's looking like it is a $350 comp for most recent comp. There's a picture, but it won't let me look at it. And then before that, 299, 297, 263, 250. Throughout October, all of the ones in the $200 range have sold already for your Cindy Ballroom Sensations. And here's another Enchanted Rare with some interesting activity. Finders Keepers been going up in price this week. This card is a 5 cost inkable that came out in the recent Shimmering Sky set, and it just says draw 3 cards. It's an Amethyst card, and people have been finding success using this card in their Ruby Amethyst decks. So in case you want to see some of those deck lists, be sure to look out for our next video coming out this weekend on some Mirabelle winning deck lists. And a lot of the Ruby Amethyst players have been trying this card out, and even some Blurple players are trying this card out. So I think because of that, we've seen this card go from around a $40 Enchanted Rare to as high as low as the verified is now $63.99 by Lorcana Card Guru. There's only 5 listings available today, and then it goes to 75, 75, 129, 150, which is a little outrageous for the last listing, obviously. But yeah, most recent comps are 43, 39, 43, 59, 39. So it's looking like people are more willing to pay $40 for this card, but we have confirmed sales before that yesterday for 49, 51, 48, 46. So we'll see if somebody buys this $63 one. I don't think so. But I think we'll see more listings for around that $50 range. Zach, do you like this card as a fellow Ruby Amethyst player?
Currently am testing it out. However, I'm not sold on it just yet. I need more sample sizes. What can I say, guys? There's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that we can give insight and input on. If you guys are looking for more of that, please stay tuned. And this is also like a precedent to other things. But this card, I believe, has potential in a certain meta game. I'm not too sure if it's the one that we're currently in. Diablo is still something to really consider. You're not trying to draw three cards when you're facing an exerted Diablo. However, in a more control grindy format, you're able to play this card and it allows you to like play your Merlin Rabbit on 4 without having a bounce card. Because if they, were to spend their turn removing it, you are probably able to spend your next turn drawing 3 more cards. And you're probably going to find another Merlin Rabbit by then. If not, another copy of Finders Keepers. So I like some of the theories about this card and some of the things that I'm trying to put into practice when I test with it, but I'm not currently sold yet. However, there are some people that are believers and they are starting to spend their money on the enchanted rares of this card.
Yeah, I've seen people do exactly what you said. Like, I'll brawl a rabbit, and then the turn 5 they play this, and then by like turn 6 I'm like, wait, like I just kind of played into your be prepared now because I've been kind of like you're going wide against your board, you know. So yeah, it's an interesting card. And shout out our homie Jerry for saying that it was a good card like a month ago. He was like, you should play that in Ruby Amethyst, and I was like, I don't know. Now it's just going up in price because people are definitely enjoying it in that deck. RLS Legacy is going up a little bit in price too. This card is used in that Ruby Steel deck that I just mentioned that plays locations. It has also plays Jim Hawkins, and Jim Hawkins hasn't been going up in price yet. But lowest verified today for the Legacy is now $52 with $1 shipping. Most recent comps were 45, 45, 50, 46, 52. So a month ago they were definitely selling for around $43, maybe even less than 40. No, they've always been at like 41, 42, but now they're more than 50. So you're gonna have to pay more than 50 now for your RLS Legacy if you want it like this weekend. And if you want some first chapter boxes because of all the cool legendaries that we talked about today, you're gonna have to pay more than you paid in the beginning of the month because they've gone up from $200 to as high as 250, 260 even. Lowest verified now by TZ Toys and Games. Good to see. Good to see. We don't know if there's going to be restocks. We've talked about this plenty of times before. Ravensburger, Disney Lorcana team has said on Twitter that if they do plan on stopping the printing of the first chapter, they would say when, and they haven't said anything ever since then. But most recent comms. $299 on October 18th, 275, 270, 280, 299. So they're basically $300 again, which is very nice to see. If you guys are getting first chapter booster boxes, let me know what price you're finding them at, but I wouldn't let go of these for anything less than 300 today. Zach, how do you feel about that?
I'm curious to see how much the cases are selling for on TCG Player. I noticed that on Wednesday there was some that sold and that the current listed price didn't make any sales yet and they have gone up. Okay, cool. So yeah, the first chapter booster boxes, I believe, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I have seen people share that Amazon orders have been canceled for this. So
Mm,
that means that there is a more of a demand for people that thought they were going to get them and now they're not. And
mm,
that just means more people are going to react to that and buy these things. And it's
wow.
important to really understand the volatility in something like this because, like we just said, Ravensburger has not said that they would discontinue printing of this set, and you cannot assume that they are based on no information given.
We can hope.
Merciless Return booster boxes are a lot cheaper though
Yeah.
than the first chapter ones, and I don't even think you can go wrong spending this much on a booster box. It's
Right?
crazy to see when MSRP was being fought for during those first chapter days, and now that we're looking at it like what almost less than half of what MSRP is.
Yeah.
Ah,
I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't know how many people who watch the channel where I've been there since the first chapter. But when the first chapter first came out, people were selling booster boxes for 250, and the community online were yelling and demanding that people sell it at MSRP. and not market price, right? And imagine if we still demanded MSRP for a box like this. Imagine, like, this is such a good price, and that's because this is market price, right? So, sometimes when the market demands the 250 to 300 price at the very beginning of the game, it's because eventually we'll get here. This is wonderful. This set comes with Diablos and Sisus, right? Like, that sounds like a come up sometimes. There's some decent rares. Unfortunately, though, like, the return on value for I think most booster boxes for any TCGs, like, you don't really get your money back. So I don't think it's really about like buying them and cracking them. But this is really cheap. This is like cheaper than I think some people's like distro price even almost. I don't know how cheap people get it, but I know I've seen people get it for more than $80+ or $90. So yeah. So today, if you want a booster box of the Ursa's Return, and you want to test your luck, maybe pull a Diablo, a Sisu, and an Enchanted rare or something, they're less than $90 today. I think that's pretty cool. Let's check this out. The Championship Stitch mat is selling today. Well, I don't know if they're actually selling, but the most recent sales for 180, 189, those are all gone. And so that means the lowest verified is now 329. No one's bought it for that high yet. The lowest non-verified is 263. But the $200 listings are gone. I just wanted to point that out. And now we have a listing for your Mirabelle Championship playmats on TCG Players. Doesn't look like there's too many sales. Somebody bought one for 113, 123. That was 5 days ago, in October, and now we have a lowest verified listings of $100 with $5 shipping. And on eBay you find them for around $100 or even a little bit less. So probably the least sought after set champs playmat right now. But personally, I like this playmat more than the Ursula playmat. The colored pattern is just really nice to me. Check out this first chapter Elsa box, also going up in price this month, dude. From less than $20 to $30 is the lowest verified by Hokey Pokey. 31.96. Who'd have thought you'd have to wait a year from now for this to double in price? Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, all the ones that were less than $30 have sold now. But yeah, they Elsa first chapter deck box. If you guys ever find these, just know they're pretty expensive. Zach, do you have one of these by any chance?
Not like a sealed, unopened one. I do own one that I don't really use, and this just was given to me, I guess, when somebody sold like cards, and they just had said, "I don't want the box. You can have it." So
Wow.
I decided to keep it, and that is up to the discretion of an individual. Again, I don't think I was going to offer on the box at the time, and I personally wasn't like looking for one. And it happened to be like the right place, right time kind of thing, because the person wasn't looking to keep it or get any value from it. I still have it though, and it's good to know, but it's not in like a clean condition at all. There's some scratches, some of the paints came off, so I'm just keeping it more as like if I need extra space or I need a deck box to use, I have one. But it is nice to look at price wise. I remember when people were passing on these at the GameStops during the first chapter days.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like this was at Target too. You're able to find these at Target and everything. But yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been a year. A year plus already since the first chapter days. We're already hitting a year since the Rise of the Floodboard. But the game continues to grow. Prices continue to go up and down and back up as we've seen with the first chapter stuff. So if you have any first chapter stuff or you're still holding, let us know in the comments what you're holding on to. But I'm really looking forward to see what ends up happening with the first chapter if they ever decide to announce that they're gonna stop printing it or whatever. But until then, my goons, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this content because it does support the channel. And there's a couple other ways to support the channel as well. You can order sleeves from pristineprotection.com. These sleeves go on your Lorcana cards. They also have the Japanese size if you have smaller cards. These are the sleeves that I use for DLCs, and they've lasted me for the whole tournament and longer. A pretty awesome brand. If you guys want to support the channel, you can use code GOONS10 and save 10% off your order, which is cool. We also have our iconic Goon shirts here available on the site. It's going to be available in the description below if you want to rock a Goon shirt at your next tournament. And by the way, shout out to all the people who have already bought Goons shirts and have been going to tournaments wearing them. I love it. Really appreciate you guys. I think it's so awesome and so heartwarming to see the Goon squad in action out there. And if you want one yourself, you can buy them online now, and they get shipped directly from me. And I even put a little sticker and a thank you card there. And if you guys want to support the channel in other ways, we have a Patreon now that we're going to be utilizing for member posts, and you get a shout out at the end of the videos at the the end sequence if you guys want to support us there too. But yeah, man, anything you want to say before we call it a day, Zach?
Well, just a big, big shout out to everyone that does join our Discord. We really appreciate the type of people that are in there contributing to the conversations, helping the community. And we are looking to have a Goons meetup picture at some time in Seattle. So make sure, guys, to find us. Go ahead and add us in the Lorcana Goons chat
Mhm.
and just kind of make sure that we are just getting it done because we failed to do this in Vegas
Yeah.
and we really wanted to. So make sure that you're in the Discord and you get involved, especially if you're planning to go to Seattle and you want to get your Goons group photo taken. It would be awesome. And we are going to have some goodies for you guys that come to say hi to us. Kevin and I just ordered some stickers that I'm excited to hand out. And yeah, anybody that also visits Kevin and I at any of our booths at Frank's or Ninja Exchange, we really appreciate your support.
Heck yeah. We hope you guys have an awesome Set Champs weekend because we know you guys are still playing. And if you guys do well at the Set Champs, please tag us on Twitter or on Discord and put your deck list in there so we can talk about it in some of our awesome videos. But until then, be sure to stay tuned to Lurkana Goons, and we'll see you goons next time.